Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to my channel, and today we are back doing a long-awaited missing persons case video. I feel like I haven't done one of these in a really long time. I feel like I was kind of on like a weekly schedule with them. I tried to do them like once a week or something like that, and I feel like I've taken a little bit of a break, but I am back with a really good one today. Good isn't the best way to describe it, but it definitely is a case that I think needs more recognition. I had never heard about it, and I'm excited to be sharing it with you guys today. This is a case like we've seen in the past where you think the answer is right in front of you, but there still has been no arrest. There still is a missing person. This person has never been found, and it's really frustrating going through the facts, and I feel like you guys are gonna feel that way too. And the person that we are talking about today is Shelley Jones. Shelley was born on June 29th of 1987. She had blonde hair and hazel eyes. She was a light in everyone's life. Everyone in her life said that she was just a bright and bubbly person, great to be around, always optimistic and in a good mood. In Pennsylvania, she ended up meeting a man named Tyler Mook. At the time that they met, Tyler was about 6 years older than Shelley, but the two of them started dating and they immediately hit it off. Shelley's friends and family say that they were inseparable and together all the time, and when Shelley was 18 and Tyler was 24, the two of them actually ended up getting married when they found out that they were expecting their first child together. Once they found this out, they decided that they wanted to move away and start their new life together, kind of have a fresh start, and so they decided to move to Tennessee. It became clear to a lot of Shelley's friends that after a while, Shelley and Tyler's marriage did kind of become really stressful for the two of them. Shelley's friends described their relationship as good when it was really good, and then when it was bad, it was catastrophic, it was awful, it was terrible. There were allegations on both sides of infidelity and cheating, and about after 6 years of marriage, they decided to finally get a divorce. Shelley apparently was really hopeful and hoping that her marriage would work. She tried time after time again, giving Tyler chance after chance, but in 2009, after 6 years, is when she finally decided that it wasn't going to work anymore and that her and Tyler needed to separate. So Shelley ended up moving out of the house that they lived in together with their daughter and moved into an apartment, and they shared custody of their daughter Liliana, and things seemed to be kind of getting back on track, and they both kind of seemed to be living their lives. Shelley started dating again, and she also became a teacher for 8th grade, and she was described as the most amazing, fun-loving teacher. Her students loved her, her colleagues loved her, everyone in that school loved her, and she loved teaching just as much. She loved her students, loved her colleagues, and was just really happy at her job. But even though Shelley's life seemed to be taking a turn for the better, Tyler still wasn't able to completely let the idea of him and Shelley being together go. He ended up writing her letters and wrote her a letter congratulating her on her first day at work and at her new job. He repeatedly in these letters just said how much he loved Shelley and said things like his love for her grows like a wildfire, and that he's polishing himself so that he will be able to one day provide for Shelley and be the man that Shelley wants him to be. He told her that the two of them were going to go on a Caribbean cruise together and that they were going to get their family back and that they were going to be together again. So it was very clear to everyone Tyler was not over this, and he was really dead set on getting Shelley back into his life. But even through all of these letters and Tyler wanting her back and Shelley really not seeming to reciprocate that as much as he was, the two of them were still dating other people, they were still living their lives. But for Tyler, it was really all a mask because he was clearly not over Shelley. This was a Monday, and so Shelley spent her day as she normally would. She woke up, she went to school, and Liliana, her daughter, had been staying at Tyler's house because they shared custody of her, so it was her day to go and pick up Liliana from Tyler. On this specific day, Shelley had hired a handyman to come to the house to fix some stuff up in her apartment. You know, when you first move into an apartment, sometimes things aren't set up the way you want it. So Shelley had hired a handyman to come and help her with this process. The handyman showed up to Shelley's apartment expecting Shelley to be there, but she wasn't there, and she never showed up. People started to get really worried though the next day when Shelley never showed up for work. The school that Shelley worked for had called her mom, and her mom was extremely worried, and that is when she decided to call 911 and report Shelley as a missing person. Tyler had actually also called the police to report Shelley as a missing person, and I couldn't quite find what that 911 call consisted of or what he said, but it is reported that he did call to report her missing as well. But early in the morning on March 1st of 2011, less than a day after those 911 calls were put in, the police and firefighters had to respond to a car that was completely on fire, bursted into flames in the middle of this open field. Like I said, it was in the early hours of March 1st, so it was really like in the middle of the night, early morning. This car had been burst into flames and completely destroyed. The police couldn't find evidence of anything other than the fact that this was no accident and that this was completely intentional. The police at the time didn't know if this was a situation where this person wanted insurance money or if it was a stolen car or what the situation was. The car had no license plates on it, so the police thought that they were never going to be able to track down this car because it had no license plates. It was completely destroyed on the inside, burst into flames, everything was burnt to the ground. But after the car cooled off for a little bit, the police were actually able to find the vehicle identification number, and they were able to trace the car back to who it originally belonged to, which was Shelley. Once they figured out it was Shelley's car, the police knew immediately that this was no accident. They knew that before, but they were able to rule out insurance and a stolen car. They were more able to focus in on the fact that this could have been to hide fingerprints or to hide evidence. There was no body found in the car, and there was no one found around the car. Everyone who knew Shelley immediately knew that there was a problem. They knew that Shelley would under no circumstance ever leave her daughter, and that there was no way she could have ever left just voluntarily. She was finally getting to a point in her life where everything seemed to be settling in. You know, she had a great job, she loved her daughter, she was starting to date again, like things really started to look up for her, so there was no way that she would just voluntarily disappear. Police first wanted to look at the handyman to see if there was any way that he had any involvement in this. After all, he did have a scheduled appointment with Shelley, and around that same time Shelley goes missing, and so the police wanted to talk to him. So they were able to clear out the handyman. They found out that he had a solid alibi. There was no motive. There was really no way that he could have had anything to do with Shelley's disappearance. So after that, police really then honed in on Tyler, her ex-husband. And it was around this time that the truth about Shelly and Tyler's marriage really started to come out and shock everyone. Obviously, because they got a divorce, people knew that there was some issues in their marriage, but a lot of people just thought it was financial, it was stress, it had nothing to do with what it really did. Police were able to uncover that Tyler had been extremely physically and verbally abusive towards Shelley. There were several domestic violence reports about these instances alone. Shelley's best friend said that there had been multiple times where she had seen Tyler be way too rough with Shelley. She said that he would throw her against the wall, grab her by her wrist, tell her no one was ever going to love her again, tell her no one was ever going to care about her, and things like that. Police also investigated the man that she had been seeing around that time as well, who wasn't Tyler, the one that she had been dating. And I personally couldn't find the name of this man. Anywhere when I was doing my research, so all I know is that she dated him briefly throughout this point. Police were really starting to think that even though Tyler was the one to make that 911 call, the second 911 call, it's possible that he was the last one to see Shelley that day. And as far as the search for Shelley goes, everyone in the community came together trying to find her, looking everywhere they possibly could. There was a $10,000 reward put out for her disappearance for anyone who was able to locate her, but there was one person who never actually ended up help searching for Shelley, and that was Tyler. And this made people really start to question even more that if this was the woman that he claimed to love so much, why would he not be out there searching with everyone else? And a lot of people were starting to think that the reason he wasn't searching with anyone else was because he already knew where she was. So after all this information was coming out about Tyler and Shelley and their toxic marriage, Shelley's mom decided to file for custody of their daughter Liliana. And throughout the whole process of this custody battle, even more secrets about Tyler's past ended up surfacing, including the fact that he had an illegal drug use history, he had history with drug trafficking, as well as the verbal and domestic violence that I mentioned before. Tyler ended up making a video deposition trying to prove that he should be able to have sole custody of his daughter. Shelley's family really wanted him to do this because they were hoping in some way that they would be able to get some sort of answer out of him, because at this point no one wanted to believe that Tyler would be able to do something like this or that he was capable of something like this, but all signs were pointing to him at this. Tyler made a video deposition and pleaded the Fifth Amendment over 150 times. In this video, he was asked questions such as if he was jealous over Shelley dating other men, as well as if he was ever physically abusive towards her at all, and even the question of if Shelley was at his house that day. And instead of answering these questions, Tyler ended up pleading the Fifth Amendment. And if you're unfamiliar with what the Fifth Amendment basically implies, it basically means that that you are allowed to decline answering questions in a government situation or any situation really in general. There's a lot more that goes into it, but that's basically the premise of it. So when he was asked all of these questions, he said for every single one, I respectfully decline this question based on the Fifth Amendment. But the one question he did answer was when he was asked whether or not he and Shelley had had sex on February 28th of 2011, the day that she had gone missing, and he did not hesitate to answer yes. When I first watched this deposition, and I'll try to link it in the description box below, remind me if I don't because I'll go back and find it, I was shocked that he had declined to answer questions such as if he had ever been physically abusive towards Shelley, or if Shelley had even been at his house that day, yet he was so okay with answering the question about whether him and Shelley had had sex on the day that she had gone missing. Now, a lot of people think that he did this because of the reason being that he did have something to do with Shelley's disappearance, and he did know where she was, and he knew that his DNA was going to be on her. And he had said that they had sex because he knew if Shelley was ever found that his DNA was going to be on her as well, and he needed a way to explain that. After being asked that question and answering with a simple yes, he was asked about the timing of when that occurred, and he then again declined that question by pleading the Fifth Amendment. And at this point, Shelley's family was completely just defeated. They felt like this was really their chance to be able to get some answers out of Tyler and finally maybe be one step closer to finding Shelley. But after this hearing and after hearing his deposition, they just felt completely defeated and disappointed. But then there was another hearing, and Tyler ended up saying a little bit more in this one than he did in the first one. And Tyler was actually able to say what happened that day with Shelley. According to Tyler, Shelley had came over to Tyler's house after school that day to pick up Liliana, like I said. When Shelley arrived at his house, she was very visibly upset, and the two of them ended up having a long, deep conversation. Told Tyler that she thought the guy that she had been seeing at that time had been cheating on her. Tyler says after this long talk, the two of them actually ended up sleeping together while their daughter was in the other room, and afterwards, Shelley said that she had to go run some errands, so she left and said that she would be back before 10 o'clock p.m. that night. Tyler said she went around doing her errands, and he didn't hear from her until about 7 o'clock or 7:30 when she texted him saying, I will, babe. I'm not quite sure what the context was before that text, but I could only find what she had told him, which was her saying, I will, babe. But according to Tyler, that was the last time he had ever heard from Shelley, and she never made it home that night. Now, I forgot to mention this in the very beginning of this video, but what Tyler said in his second hearing actually contradicted with what he said in the very beginning, which was that Shelley never made it to his house to pick up his daughter. So in the very beginning when Shelley went missing, Tyler was saying that Shelley never came to pick up their daughter and that he never saw her that day, which then later on the story switched to she did come over, she did come inside, did have sex, but then she left and I never saw her. So it was getting very confusing, like the stories that were being told. Police were then starting to think and starting to piece together that if this was the work of Tyler or anyone, that this person did not act alone. Because think about it, this person had to drive out a car at midnight and light it on fire, and where this field was and where they had placed this car was about 30 miles away from Tyler's house. So the police and everyone else really started to question how anyone would be able to do that individually. Everyone really did think that there had to be another person driving another vehicle. And then there was a really big key piece of evidence that came out. Tyler lived a couple miles away from this convenience store, and this convenience store had surveillance cameras. And in the early hours of March 1st, 2011, around 2 to 3 a.m., the surveillance cameras were able to pick up a truck that had pulled up to the dumpster outside of the store and was stopped there for about 5 to 10 minutes before driving away. Now, the surveillance camera wasn't able to pick up if anyone got out of the car, but they were able to identify that that car was Tyler's car. Shortly after the surveillance tape was found, there was another clue that came out that really showed Tyler's true colors and true intentions. Shelley's mom was granted custody, sole custody of Liliana, Shelley's daughter, and the two of them had actually moved away, far away from Tyler. They didn't want to be anywhere near him, and this really bothered Tyler a lot, to the point where he had actually talked to Liliana about giving her matches so that she would be able to burn down Shelley's mom's house. This was just a really odd thing to say to your young daughter, to say, I will give you matches and the materials that you need to burn down your grandmother, who is my ex-mother-in-law's house. Obviously, in a situation like that, when you're losing custody of your child, personally, I've never been through it. I can only imagine how frustrating it is. Like, that's your child and they're being taken away from from you. Whether it's for the better good of everyone involved or not, I could only imagine how frustrating that would be. So Tyler really took it hard, but regardless of any of that, like, I just feel like you don't tell your daughter, let me give you the materials that you need so you can burn down her house. Especially knowing the situation that's going on, I just don't feel like that was logical at all. And a lot of people thought that that in and of itself like showed what Tyler was truly capable of. So there was one other person who was involved in this case, and that was Liliana, Shelly and Tyler's daughter that they shared together. And she was also interviewed about the disappearance. And this is when people really started to think that the thing that they feared most could really truly be the reality. Shelly had came to Tyler's house to pick up Liliana. Shelly went to go pick up Liliana and then left for a small period of time, but grabbed a box of Tyler's things that she had and then drove back to Tyler's house with Liliana in the car to give those belongings back to Tyler. And Liliana was in the car when this was all happening. So Shelly had a box of Tyler's things. Obviously they had gotten a divorce, so they were moving on with their lives. Shelly decided to give this box of Tyler's things back to Tyler. Liliana said Shelly walked up to the front door to give Tyler his things, and Liliana said her mom was really upset and just didn't seem in a good mood at all. She was just visibly very sad and upset. She walked to the front door of Tyler's house, and Tyler opened the door, and Shelly actually went inside with Tyler. And Liliana says that is the last time she had ever seen her mother. So then something happened which really just blew everyone's mind in the case of how this could happen. Tyler accidentally called 911. And by accidentally, I mean like he pocket dialed 911. And the 911 operator picked up the phone, and Tyler didn't know that he had called 911. And he was actually having a conversation with his father. I think the two of them were like working on a car or something. They were doing something mechanical, and they were talking about the whole situation with Shelly. Tyler said things like police know that he's not going anywhere at the moment because he doesn't have Liliana. And then they really started talking about Shelly's case in general and her disappearance. And that's when Tyler's father told Tyler not to worry because they can't prove anything. Tyler then said that the police wanted to come arrest him with a warrant. And then he started talking to his dad about the car, the burning car in the middle of the field, and said something doesn't sit right with me about that car. I know they're gonna try to bust me for that. After the phone hung up, Tyler then realized he was on a 22-minute phone call with 911 talking to his father all about Shelly. So Tyler then freaked out and called back 911 asking if he had just called them, what he had said, if it was recorded. And it was very clear that Tyler was nervous about what he had said on that call, but Tyler's lawyer has said over and over again that that call is meaningless, and Tyler Mook was never charged with Shelly's disappearance ever, and to this day no one has been charged with her disappearance. Like I said in the beginning, this is a case where you think there's a lot of evidence. You've had the daughter saying that she went into the house and never came out. You have the domestic violence history, the car, the convenience store surveillance video, everything that you would think that you would need, but all of that is circumstantial evidence and it does not apply, and it can't directly link Tyler to Shelly. Tyler was named a person of interest in this case, but he had never been arrested, and Shelly's family and friends really did think that the police dropped the ball in the beginning of this case. It took the police 3 days to go and search Tyler's house, which if you think about it is way too long. And Tyler has always refused to be completely interrogated or interviewed by the police. Now I'm going to move on really quick and tell you guys a story of the things Tyler did after this, because I think it is extremely telling and will give you a little bit more insight. So after living in Tennessee, Tyler decided that he really just wanted to start over and start fresh. Kind of like what he did with Shelly in the beginning. After they moved from Pennsylvania to Tennessee, they wanted to start fresh. Clean slate, new life, all of that. So Tyler decided he was going to move to Florida. So that is what he did. And while he was there, he met a woman named Robin. Robin was 25. She also had a daughter. The two of them hit it off really instantaneously. She said he was super charismatic and charming, and she was really attracted to him. And she said he was exactly what she needed at that point in her life. So she thought. Tyler had actually told Robin in the beginning that his name was Tyler Cook, which we know his name is not Tyler Cook, his name is Tyler Mook. And after a while, Tyler ended up actually telling Shelly in a joking way, like what his actual name was. And she kind of got on him and was like, you told me your name was Tyler Cook. And he was like, oh, I was just joking with you. So Robin actually went home and ended up researching Tyler and Googled him and saw all of the articles and everything about Shelly and Shelly's disappearance and how Tyler was possibly connected to all of that. And she felt a pit in her stomach. She just didn't know what to do. She called her mom mom told her that she needed to get out of this situation as soon as possible and as smoothly as possible. But Robin decided that she wanted to give Tyler a chance to explain himself. She ended up point blank asking him if he was involved or if he had done any of the things that people were saying that he did, and he just looked at her and said, "No, I didn't do any of those things. Do you think I would do any of those things? Like, I'm not the type of person who would do any of those things. You know me." And she ended up believing him. Robin was really falling for Tyler hard and fast. She could see marriage with him. She could see all of those things with him. She said that she thought she was going to marry him. One day, Robin, Tyler, Tyler's brother Andrew, and Andrew's girlfriend all decided that they were going to go on a boat together and have a boat day, and it was going to be really fun. And Tyler had a boat, so they were going to use Tyler's boat to go out and just have a great day. Robin actually ended up having to show up a little later than everyone else, which made Tyler furious. Once Robin showed up, Tyler sped off in the boat with all three of them in it way too fast. And you know how there's like slow zones? I don't know what they're called because I just don't go boating, but I know that there's like zones where you have to go slow because there's sandbars and it's just dangerous and things like that. So they were in one of those zones where they were supposed to go slower than how they normally could. But Tyler did not care and just booked it. And Robin said she kept telling Tyler, "Slow down, you're gonna kill us all, like slow down." And this made Tyler even more angry. Tyler ended up stopping the boat and went over to Robin, threw her sunglasses off. She starts trying to dial for her mom. He takes her phone, throws it in the water, picks her up, and then throws her in the water too. Andrew and his girlfriend at this point are kind of just sitting there in shock, not knowing what to do, before Tyler ends up jumping in the water after Robin and attempts to drown her. He holds her under the water multiple times, and it was at that point where it wasn't shallow enough for her to stand. She couldn't stand. He was holding her under, and then she would be able to get up and breathe for a second, but then he would hold her under again, and it was this constant battle, and to this point where it was finally the last time where she was able to get up and take a breath, where she yelled, "Andrew, help me, he's going to kill me." And at that point, Andrew jumped in the water, which personally, I don't know why it took him that long, but he got up, jumped in the water, and jumped on Tyler and was able to get Tyler off of Robin. At that point, there was another boat that passed with a couple boys in it. I think they were more like teenage age. And they saw Robin screaming for help, trying to swim away from Tyler as fast as she could, and that is when they came over and they picked her up in their boat and drove her back to the marina or the dock. And coincidentally enough, there was actually a police officer right when they docked the boat. Not for any reason, he would just like been around the area, I guess, and Robin told him that Tyler had tried to drown him, and that was when Tyler was arrested. Tyler was arrested initially for battery, which Robin felt was way too easy of a charge. He tried to kill her. Like, this was attempted murder. This was not just battery, this was attempted murder in her mind. And Tyler's mom ended up bailing him out of jail the next day, and Robin immediately decided to get a restraining order from him. About a week after this boating incident happened, the detectives from Shelley's case in Tennessee actually ended up showing up to Robin's doorstep. All of them met up and talked together, and shortly after that, Tyler's charge was increased from just battery to now attempted murder. Tyler was put on trial for this charge of attempted murder in the first degree. Shelley's mom actually showed up to the trial and was there throughout all of it, which Robin said was even though it was a sad situation, she felt stronger because she had Shelley's mom there. She felt like the two of them were coming together to finally put Tyler away and to make sure he got the justice that he needed. Not only Robin, but Shelley got the justice that they both needed. Andrew actually ended up testifying against Tyler, which was huge. His own brother was testifying against him. He said that Tyler held Robin under the water, told Andrew to help her because he was going to try to kill her. Robin also testified and explained her whole situation from her side. Tyler was then charged with attempted murder in the second degree. He was sentenced to 12 years in prison, and even though Robin says she's extremely relieved that he was able to be put away, she does not believe that 12 years was nearly enough. But none of those 12 years were regarding Shelley's disappearance. Those were all just from Robin's attempted murder. To this day, no one has been charged in Shelley's disappearance, and Shelley has never been found. I want to know what you guys think about this case, so leave your comments in the description box below to tell me what your theories are. I am super curious to see what you guys think. If you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Savannah. I make videos 3 days a week, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. You should subscribe, join the family. I love you guys so much, and I'll be back in a couple days with a brand new video. As always, all my links are going to be at the end of this video in the description box below, and I will see you soon. Bye, guys.